Hi, welcome to our channel of IGNOU Audiobooks, Indira Gandhi National Open University, School of Humanities, SOH. Bachelor of Arts, Honours, English, BAIG. Core Courses, CC. Semester I. BEGC 101 Indian Classical Literature. Block 1 Kalidasa, Abhijnana Shakuntala. Unit 1 Indian Aesthetics, An Introduction. 1.0 Objectives. In this unit, we will look at drama, specifically classical Indian drama and its origin, role, and significance, beginning with its oral tradition to the later religious performances. The unit will examine drama as a performative social activity aimed at particular audiences. We will then discuss Sanskrit dramas, its various components, and end with an overview of major Sanskrit dramatists such as Bhasha, Bhavbhuti, and Sudraka. This unit will conclude with a brief discussion on Kalidasa, as the next unit will deal with him in detail. The objective of this unit is to offer a concise idea about Indian drama with a specific focus on Sanskrit plays, as I'm sure most of us do not have much knowledge about Sanskrit drama per se. 1.1 Introduction. Like any literary genre, drama has its own history both in terms of its origin and evolution. The drama that we see or study in classrooms today did not begin as such. As a literary composition, drama usually tells us a story, but not just through words, in the form of dialogues, but also through gestures, movements, and facial expressions of the characters, dances, costumes, background landscape, music, stage setting, etc. Drama is, therefore, a performative art that includes many components and participants such as the playwright, actors, director, audience, costume designer, makeup artists, etc. In the next section, we shall take a look at what is called Indian classical drama. 1.2 Indian classical drama. All major civilizations had their own version of drama, such as the Greek, the Chinese, and the Indians. One of the major problems in determining an origin date for literary traditions such as drama is that we cannot pinpoint the exact year of its genesis. Rather, we can trace its influence and evolution to arrive at a more or less realistic understanding of the origins of drama. The Indian dramatic tradition was influenced by the dramatic elements found in the Vedas, in dialogue, hymns, and Vedic rituals. Thus, it is in the Vedic era, 1500 to 1000 BCE, that we see dramatic elements that will come to define drama in the years to come and eventually usher in a genre known as Indian classical drama as we know it. Even the epics, such as the Mahabharata, support the existence of performers or nata as early as 400 CE. However, the most extant treatise on Indian drama is the Natyashastra by Bhartamuni, which emerged in 3rd CE. Bharata ascribes a divine origin to the dramatic tradition, which highlights its Vedic religious beginnings. The very existence of such a text suggests that it was the culmination of a fairly long process of dramatic development taking place at that time. The Greek invasion of the Indian subcontinent has led a few critics such as Weber to assert a Greek influence on Indian drama. There are certainly some similarities, such as the plot being mainly centered on historical, mythical figures. But the Indian tradition has the added element of supernatural figures such as gods and goddesses that populate the world of drama. The division of the play into acts and scenes, use of the chorus, developments of stock characters demonstrate this Greek influence on all drama. However, major differences also exist between the two traditions, specifically the absence of tragedy in the Indian dramatic tradition. Greek drama's adherence to the three unities of time, place, and action is not strictly observed in Indian drama, where the action shifts from earthly spaces to heavenly ones, taking place across many years as well. Furthermore, dance and song are an important part of Indian drama and not found in the Greek counterpart. Other scholars highlight the influence of Buddhist and Jain traditions in the formalizing of the Indian dramatic tradition. Thus, we can conclude that there might have been a strain of the Greek influence, along with influences from other literary traditions and cultures such as the Buddhist and Jain traditions that worked together with ancient Vedic ones to create the classical Indian drama as we know it today. This may be particularly true of the Tamil epic Chilapatikram, which is influenced also by the Buddhist and Jain traditions, as we shall see in the fourth block. In the next section, we shall look at Sanskrit drama. 1.3 Sanskrit drama. In this section, we shall examine Sanskrit drama in a more detailed manner. A vast country like India cannot have a singular dramatic tradition, given as we discussed before the various influences on the genre as well as the diversity of the subcontinent and how these communities received and adapted drama. However, one of the most prominent dramatic traditions to have emerged is Sanskrit drama. Others include the dance drama of southern India as well the Sanskrit tradition of southern India such as the Kuriyattam in Kerala. According to the Natya Shastra, a dramatic work's purpose was to provide not just entertainment and pleasure but instruction, wealth, justice, and spiritual liberation. That's why Sanskrit drama does not have a tragic ending, because in Hindu cosmology, death is not the end but a means to either achieve spiritual liberation from the cycle of life or be reborn till it is achieved. Moreover, the rasa or the aesthetic sentiment is an important aspect of Sanskrit drama and can be best defined as the audience's refined emotional response evoked by the play. Rasa is broadly composed of Vibhava, Anubhava, Vyabhichrabhava, and Sthai Bhava, which are the different types of emotional responses to a work of art. Alternatively, rasa can be explained as a blissful aesthetic experience achieved via drama and is seen as Sanskrit drama's highest purpose. Natya Shastra also elucidates the different types of plays, the major type, Roopka, or the minor type, Uproopka. Roopka consists of 10 varieties, out of which the Natka are plays based on myths and heroic tales, and the Prakarna are plays based on fictitious stories and where less important characters are dominant. Sanskrit drama's idealized plot structure consists of 5 transitions that lead to a final culmination of the events depicted. The first is the origin, mukha, which states the seeds or the beginning of the plot. The second is the incident, pratimukha, which develops the plotline further by showing both good and bad events, and the third is germ, garbha, where good actions events seem to lead towards the aim, phala. The fourth is crisis, vimarsa, where bad actions events seem to outweigh the good and strays away from the aim. The fifth is completion, nirvahana, that brings together all the different narratives in the play to a definitive conclusion. One of the unique aspects of Sanskrit drama is its bilingual nature. The protagonists who belonged to the upper castes such as Brahmins and Kshatriyas spoke in Sanskrit, whereas characters from other sections of society, such as soldiers, servants, women and children etc., spoke in the various Prakrit. Languages. The stock characters encountered here, such as the Sutradhar. Director, the Nayak, hero, the Nayaki, heroine, and the Viduska, jester, speak either in Sanskrit or Prakrit depending on their caste, class, gender, and age. Such a linguistic construction of the play restricted the variety of people who could watch and enjoy it. Thus, the audience was mostly limited to a refined circle of upper castes such as the royalty, aristocrats, Brahmins, and Kshatriyas, leading to royal patronages. Even the Natya Shastra states that the ideal spectators should be educated and noble men. All four castes could watch a play as long as they were seated separately. It is no surprise then that Sanskrit drama failed to be a people's drama such as those in ancient Greece and medieval England. However, this is not to say no other form of drama existed or evolved in India outside of the Sanskritic tradition. Folk theatre and street plays, Nukkad Natak, abound even now and are a testament to the vitality of contemporary Indian theatre. Another aspect that differentiates Sanskrit drama from its European counterpart is the composition of actors. Unlike the ban on female actors in European classical drama, the Sanskritic tradition did not have such prohibitions that required male actors to perform the role of female leads, and drama could be performed by men alone, women alone, or a mix of both, depending on the plot. Despite its many unique characteristics, the major drawback of Sanskrit drama was its linguistic barrier as well as the strict adherence to the rules of dramaturgy that did not leave much space for individual imagination and experiments with the genre. Its failure to transition into popular art because of the decline of Sanskrit as a living language led to the gradual disinterest in Sanskritic works. However, Sanskrit plays are still being written and performed in India by playwrights such as Manmohan Acharya, Arjuna Pratijna, Shrita Kamalam, Pada Pallavam, Divyajayadevam, Pingla, Mrityuh, Sthita Prajna, Tantra Mahasaktya, Purva Sakuntalam, Uttara Sakuntalam and Ravana, Vidyadhar Shastri, Purnanandam, Kalidanyam, and Durbala Balam, and Prafulla Kumar Mishra, Chitrangda and Karuna, that are a living testimony to the endurance of the genre. Sanskrit literature may have failed to become popular literature, but it is still studied in academia and seen as an important aspect of Indian culture and tradition. Let us look at the classical Sanskrit dramatists of ancient times next. 1.4 Classical Sanskrit playwrights. Sanskrit drama is defined by the works of dramatists such as Sudraka, Bhasha, Bhavbhuti, Harsha, and Kalidasa, to name a few. They have survived through thousands of years because of their literary prowess in depicting characters, settings, plots in their own individualistic way. Almost all the great Sanskrit playwrights benefited from royal patronage or were part of royal households, or even of kings. Let us begin by talking about Bhasha first. 1.5 Bhasha. Bhasha, 3rd to 4th CE, was a Sanskrit playwright preceding Kalidasa, believed to have lived in the city of Ujjain. Relatively unknown to Sanskrit scholars, except through references in other dramatic works, Bhasha's works saw the light of the day in 1909 when the play Swapna Vaswadatta, Vision of Vaswadatta, was discovered by Pandit Anand Dalwar of the Archaeological Survey of Mysore. In 1913, a total of 13 plays were discovered in an old library in Thiruvananthapuram, Trivandrum, by T. Ganpati Shastri. Bhasha drew his inspiration from epics such as the Mahabharata, the Ramayana, the Purana and semi-historical legends and figures. Bhasha's place. Do not follow the Natyashastra very strictly, even breaking dramatic conventions. This has led some critics to conclude that Bhasha's plays were written before Bhartammuni's treatise. Others see this as an indication of Bhasha's poetic experiments and disregard for dramatic conventions. Swapna Vaswadatta is his most famous play that depicts the story of King Udyana, who must choose between marrying for love his beloved Vaswadatta or the daughter of a neighboring king, Princess Padmavati, for political gain. In the play, Bhasha combines romance with political intrigue, creating a new kind of drama. Along with traditional dramas, Bhasha also wrote short plays, one-act plays, and monologues. Among the many dramatic conventions that Bhasha broke was depicting a tragic ending in his plays. Both Urubhanga, Breaking of the Thighs, and Karnabhara, Karna's Task, which deal with the stories of Duryodhan and Karna, respectively, end on tragic notes. The heroes of these two plays are traditionally seen as villains or anti-heroes in the Mahabharata. However, Bhasha treats them with sympathy and shows a side of their character hitherto not dealt with in the epic. Furthermore, Bhasha does not shy away from showing violent acts on stage, which was another Natyashastra convention that he disregards. We shall take a quick look at Sudraka next. 1.6 Sudraka. Sudraka, literally translated as the little servant, was a poet king who lived in Ujjain in the 2nd CE. He is well known for his Prakarna play, Mrichraktika, the little clay cart, which is an extended version of Bhasha's incomplete play Charudattam, Charudatta. The 10-act play tells the love story of a Brahman merchant, Charudatt, and a courtesan Vasantasena, whose union is thwarted by a jealous suitor. Even with a few serious elements, the play ends happily and is primarily seen as a mix of romance and humor. It also offers an interesting and realistic picture of urban society and the complex social structure of that time. We will be studying Sudraka's Mrichkatika in Block 3 of this course. His other plays include Vinvaswadatta and A. Bhana, short one-act monologue, and Padma Prabhritaka. Incidentally, the 1984 Hindi movie Utsav, directed by Girish Karnad, is believed to have been based largely on Mrichkatika. Bhavbhuti will be examined in the subsequent section. 1.7 Bhavbhuti. Bhavbhuti, a major dramatist of the later Sanskrit dramatic period, was the court poet of King Yashovarman of Kannauj in North India in 8th CE. He, too, wrote plays based on the Ramayana, such as the Mahavir Charitha, exploits of a great hero, which depicts the early life of Rama, and Uttarmacharita, the latter history of Rama, which shows the final years of Rama's life as written in the Uttara Kanda of the Ramayana. Both the plays consist of 7 acts written in the Natka style. His third drama, Malati Madhva, Malati and Madhva, is a Prakarna play centered on the love story of Malati, the daughter of a minister, and Madhavya, her beloved. Malati is said to be married off to Nandana in accordance with the king's wishes. The powerful suitor, as well as a mix-up with another couple, interrupts the union of Malati and Madhva, which is finally resolved with the aid of magic. The use of the supernatural makes this play a one-of-a-kind drama that skillfully combines romance with horror. Bhavbhuti's long poetic descriptions are seen as mere embellishment that does not add anything to the drama, but tends to obfuscate his clear and simple diction. He is known for completely doing away with the Viduska and thus eliminating the comic element in his plays. Critics see this as a reflection of his temperament that could not portray humor effectively. Bhavbhuti instead compensates for it by highlighting the supernatural and the grotesque, thus evoking the rasa bibhasta, disgust, and rodra, anger, in his works. His plays have the unique combination of heroism, romance, and horror unrivaled in Sanskrit literature. The next section will deal with a brief look at Kalidasa as we place him in the tradition. 1.8 Kalidasa, one of best-known Sanskrit dramatists in the world, whose works have been adapted and translated into numerous languages and forms. Kalidasa's poetic skills are unparalleled even today. Basing his works on the Vedas, the Purana, and the epics, Kalidasa reimagined and breathed new life into the plots that he took from these works. His works include notable plays such as Malviknagnimitram, pertaining to Malvika and Agnimitra, and Vikramavisyam, pertaining to Vikram and Urvashi. He also wrote epic poems such as Raghuvamse, Dynasty of Raghu, and Kumar Sambhava, Birth of Kumara or Esubrahmanya, along with Khanda Kavyas, minor poems. However, his most popular and famous work remains the Abhijnana Shakuntalam, the recognition of Shakuntala. We will not discuss the details of his work and aesthetics here. This will be dealt with in the next unit. 1.9 Let us sum UP. In this unit, we have learnt about the history and development of Indian classical drama. Special focus has been given to Sanskrit drama, with comparisons and differences drawn between the Indian and European dramatic tradition to give an overall awareness about drama. We have also been apprised of other important Sanskrit playwrights, and that has helped us understand the tradition beyond Kalidasa and has offered us an appreciation on the diversity and range of classical Sanskrit literature. Thank you for watching. We will see you in the next video with the next chapter.